The day that was supposed to mark a new beginning nearly shattered him in a single breath. The most feared man in the city, a name that made grown men lower their eyes and pray, stood frozen in a small neighborhood bakery, his heart slamming against his ribs like it wanted to escape. He had walked in to order a wedding cake for his upcoming marriage, a public symbol that his violent past was behind him. But behind the glass counter, surrounded by the warm smell of bread and sugar, stood the one woman he had never truly escaped, his ex-wife, and in her arms, a little girl who looked painfully, undeniably like him. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and stories that remind us that hearts can change no matter how dark the past, take a moment right now to like this video, comment your thoughts, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel Kindness Stories. Your support helps stories like this reach more hearts. He had survived gunfights, betrayals, and prison threats without flinching. But this moment broke something open inside him. Years ago, he had signed the divorce papers with cold hands and colder resolve, convinced that love was a weakness he could not afford. Power had demanded sacrifices, and she had been the first. He told himself she would be safer without him, that leaving was an act of mercy. Now she stood just a few steps away, wearing a plain apron dusted with flour, eyes widened in shock, holding a child whose small fingers clutched her shoulder as if sensing the storm beneath the surface. The bakery felt too small for the weight of everything crashing into him at once. Time seemed to slow as memories flooded back. The early days of their marriage, when he was not yet a kingpin, but an ambitious man, trying to claw his way out of poverty. The nights she waited for him, worried but hopeful, believing his promises that it would all be worth it. Then the darkness crept in, the bloodstains he scrubbed from his hands, the lies that stacked higher than the cash. She begged him to leave that life, to choose peace, but he chose power instead. When she finally walked away, tears streaking her face, he felt relief mixed with a pain he buried deep. He never asked why she never came back. He never asked if there was something she hadn't told him. Now the answer was standing right in front of him, wrapped in yellow fabric, staring at him with wide, curious eyes. The resemblance was cruel. The same dark hair, the same sharp eyebrows, the same expression of cautious defiance even at such a young age. His carefully rebuilt future trembled. The woman he was about to marry knew nothing about this past life, about this other family that might have existed. He had convinced himself he deserved happiness after everything he had survived. But did he, if happiness came at the cost of ignoring a child who might be his? The bakery owner cleared his throat nervously, sensing tension, but not understanding it. Outside, his black luxury car sat parked like a silent reminder of the man he was supposed to be today. Inside, the air was thick with unsaid truths. His ex-wife looked at him, not with anger, but with exhaustion, the kind that comes from carrying secrets alone for too long. Her life had clearly not been easy. The fine lines on her face, the way she held the child protectively, told a story of years spent surviving without him. He left the bakery without ordering the cake. For the first time in decades, his bodyguard followed him, not because of danger, but because the man they protected looked like he might collapse. That night, alone in his penthouse, the city lights mocking his isolation, he drank without tasting and stared at the ceiling. Every deal, every ruthless decision, suddenly felt meaningless. He thought about the little girl growing up without knowing who her father was, without his protection or his mistakes. He thought about how many times he had claimed he did terrible things to protect family, yet had abandoned his own. The next morning, he went back. No guns, no threats, no entourage. Just a man in a simple coat, stepping into a life he had once walked away from. He watched from a distance as his ex-wife worked, smiling softly at customers, the little girl sitting nearby coloring with crayons. This was a world untouched by fear, built on routine and resilience. When the child laughed, something inside him cracked wide open. He realized then that redemption was not about grand gestures or public apologies. It was about showing up, quietly and consistently, even when it terrified him. Rebuilding trust was harder than any criminal empire he had ever constructed. His ex-wife did not welcome him with open arms. She was cautious, guarded, every instinct screaming to protect her child from the chaos he represented. He did not blame her. He offered help without demands, support without conditions. He paid for the bakery's repairs when a pipe burst, arranged safer streets without violence, made sure threats never reached their door. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, the walls began to lower. The little girl started to smile when she saw him. She held his hand once, briefly, and it felt heavier than any weapon he had ever carried. Meanwhile, his current fiancée noticed the distance growing between them. He told her the truth, finally, about who he had been and what he had discovered. It was the hardest confession of his life. She left, unable to reconcile the man she loved with the man he had been. For the first time, he did not chase after power to numb the loss. He accepted it as consequence. Love, he learned, wasn't something you could force or replace. Months passed. He stepped away from the criminal world piece by piece, using his influence to dismantle what he once ruled. Enemies scoffed, allies betrayed him, but he persisted. The little girl learned to ride a bike with him, jogging beside her, breathless and laughing. His ex-wife watched from the porch, fear slowly replaced by something that looked like hope. She saw change, not in his words, but in his choices. He missed meetings to attend school events. He traded tailored suits for flour-stained sleeves when helping at the bakery. The city whispered about the fallen boss who had gone soft. He wore the rumor like a badge of honor. The day he finally ordered a cake, it was not for a wedding. It was for a small family celebration in the bakery after closing. No photographers, no luxury cars. Just candles, laughter, and a child blowing out flames while two adults stood nearby, united not by perfection, but by effort. He realized then that this was the legacy he wanted. Not fear, not wealth, but presence. If this story is touching something deep inside you, please pause for a moment and let us know. Like the video, share it with someone who believes people can change, and subscribe to Kindness Stories so you never miss a story that reminds us of humanity's softer side. Before the ending, we have a special request for you. Comment below and tell us, do you believe people truly deserve a second chance when they are willing to change? Your words matter, and they help build a community of compassion. In the end, the Mafia boss did not become a hero overnight, nor did his past vanish. But every morning he unlocked the bakery door beside the woman he once lost, and every evening he tucked a little girl into bed, promising silently to be better than yesterday. Redemption did not come with applause or forgiveness from the world. It came in quiet moments, in small hands wrapped around his finger, in the knowledge that love, once abandoned, can sometimes find its way back if you are brave enough to face it. If this story moved your heart even a little, please engage with this video. Your support keeps these stories alive, reminding us all that even the hardest hearts can learn to love again.